Hey guys, welcome back to an all-new episode of Comics Unchained. I'm your host, Sergio Sanchez. Joining me, as always, is Indiana Leon and Crystal Roy, who's back. We took a bit of a hiatus because, we had a few things going on the week before, and then, of course, Father's Day. So we took a little bit of a break. Stop it. I'm going to beat your ass.
Just charging up and getting ready.
And so we are back, and this week we're going to be talking about just one book, and it's probably something we're trying new. We're going to be taking a look back at something. We're actually going to not have comic review this week. We're going to be looking at a book that, if you were looking to get into comics back in, I don't even remember what the date of this book was, but let me take a look here when this was produced here.
I mean, it lasted for like a really long time.
It did,
and it's our motto. It's our motto.
And it did, and it doesn't say, but yes, we are going to be talking about Doomsday Clock. So, as always, if you guys like what we're talking about, please hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on notifications for whenever we upload videos, which is not all the time, so you got time. So, yeah, let's jump into it. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. All right. So as always, so like I said, we're going to be talking about a comic book this week that came, or a comic series, I should say, that took literally was a year event in the making. Like each issue, it literally
lived up
took
to
a year.
Its name, Doomsday Clock.
And we, of course, are talking. Yes, like Indy said, we're talking about Doomsday Clock, which was super good. It took a little bit of time, but you know what? Like as each issue came out, it wasn't like you're disappointed. Like
it gave you a lot per issue. It gave you a lot to sit with and think about.
And so we were talking about this in our last episode we recorded, which you can go check out in our reviews section. And when we were talking about it, we were like, dude, we should, afterwards, me and Indy were kind of like, man, I forgot how good of a series that was. And this set up which was originally the New 52. So this was, the big spoiler at the end of Flashpoint, which was the button. So that was like really huge.
A long time didn't get like solved. Nope. It's like, hey, cool, we're halfway through the New 52. Hey, what was that button thing though? Like about 9 months ago.
And Batman's like, I don't know, I just threw it in the fucking corner and
who cares?
Kind of forgot about it. And Alfred was cleaning and some shit happened and.
He's like, oh yeah, Corey the Owls. I don't have time for this.
Yeah, right.
Should we give a little spoiler warning? Are we going to be giving any like spoilers for Doomsday Clock?
So if you haven't read this book and you want to go read it on your own, stop here, because we are going to ruin the shit out of this. I promise.
Yeah, for the most part.
But we will try our best to follow it chronologically. We're going to also be talking about the original Watchmen. So if you want to go read that by Alan Moore, go ahead. You can pick that up. If you haven't read that by now, there's going to be spoilers from that. I'm just covering that now, but that is kind of like, if you are a comic book person, that is almost recommended reading. So if you're not reading that, if you haven't read that graphic novel, that's really on you. Like, you have no one to blame but yourself.
I mean, she's new.
Yeah,
I haven't read any of these.
So,
it's okay.
But
you'll get interested though.
I'm in the dark.
Yeah, but luckily you're kind of okay, because like if you didn't read it, of course you probably watched Warner Brothers' big adaptation, Watchmen the movie. Yeah. So it does a really good job. Yep. It changes a few things. The extended cut. Yeah, it changes a few things. The extended cut is definitely a lot better, but
I think so.
You got to commit yourself to that almost 4-hour timeline.
Yeah, so. Another Snyder.
So with that, we're gonna dive right into Doomsday Clock. So let's go. So Doomsday Clock picks up kind of after the events of Watchmen, in between the events of Flashpoint. But we're setting in the Watchmen universe, which for the life of me, I can't remember if that's what Earth that is.
It's an Earth within the multiverse now.
Yeah, it's one of the multiverse.
Oh,
yeah. So we pick up there, and and we're coming back to that story where it's years after the events that have happened from the original Watchmen, what happened at the end of it. So at the end of the original events of Watchmen, as we know, Ozymandias set off in the comic book was the aliens that
Right,
were
yeah,
disguised
which
to
is
come to
kind of
Earth
weird.
instead of like Dr. Manhattan being the main villain. Where in the movies, like this is what's crazy about this. So like, if you're a movie watcher, it was Dr. Manhattan. If it was in the comic
Yeah.
books, it was always Ozymandias, right?
Yeah, he was the master of puppets in that whole thing. Yeah,
Right.
for both.
It was always him, and everything plays out kind of the same in the comic book except the ending. In the ending, you have what people refer to as the alien squids, which if you watch which if you watch the Watchmen series that was on HBO just last year,
They follow that ending.
They follow that ending, which explains the squid rains as being fallout from the destruction.
Okay.
But in the movie, it was pretty much like detonated bombs with Dr. Manhattan's signature, giving it the look like he, did the snap.
He did it. Yeah,
Yep.
Destroyed
I remember this.
certain places all over the world. So, but in the comic books, it was these weird squid-like creatures that Ozymandias had genetically engineered that weren't really even sentient, weren't alive. But what they did is release like a sonic scream that killed everybody, in the same amount of blast radius, give or take. So the book, I think, did a lot better, but like went for that more of that goofy ending for which the movie kind of was like, well, it was kind of like, we don't want to introduce the squids because like that's kind of weird. So we're just going to go with the Dr. Manhattan.
It always felt like more, in a way, he was always just like trivializing the superhero genre throughout the book. And then at the end, he gave it that, hey man, here's the last little fuck you. This is how ridiculous the superhero genre is.
Right.
And I think it pissed him off in the movie because he was like, oh, you made it kind of good. Like, it was like, holy shit, this is like a really intense story of manipulation and all that stuff. And that's why I still to this day, I'm like, Moore, you're a great writer, but man, kind of fuck you, dude, because that movie is great. Like,
I mean, Alan Moore is a strange fucking guy, and we'll get into that later on. Like, maybe like, depend on how long this video runs, we'll talk a little bit about how crazy Alan Moore is. Because that guy's a psycho. Like, dude, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's good, but like, he's one of those guys. Is like, I don't watch other people's reimaginings of my work because it's my work and they don't know how to do it better than I did. So like, I guess we'll just do it now. If you take Alan Moore's work and you convert it to either updated comic book or a continuation of his comic series, or in this case, an adaptation to a movie, he's immediately like, oh, it's terrible. Like, did you watch it? No, because it's terrible. But how do you know? Because it's terrible.
Exactly.
Like, I'm telling you it's terrible because I didn't have anything to do with it.
He's got like a small god complex, you know what I mean? Like, he's just a little...
If it's not mine, then it's like, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
So like, and that's how I see it. Now, there are some people out there that are going to be like, no, he's right. And that's, like, if you want to argue about that, hey, go ahead. But to me, it's just like, dude, come on. Like, if you're not, like, he had a V for Vendetta. It's another perfect example. Like, he wrote V for Vendetta. And then when that was brought to the silver screen, everybody's like, like, this is a great movie. And Alan Moore's like, no, it's trash.
He never watched it.
And it was like, did you watch it? He's like, no, I won't watch it because it's trash.
Hugo Weaving,
such a good movie,
brought V to life.
Like, how do
Hugo Weaving is a monster, man.
Oh yeah,
so good.
I thought it was super great.
Yeah,
I love
like
the movie.
Natalie Portman's kind of like the only thing that's kind of a little bit blah at times, but even then she plays her role well. Well enough to where it doesn't take away from V, or it doesn't take away from the larger story. Because if you really watch the movie, it's kind of a story about the detective finding out that the whole government is fucked. Like, you know what I mean? And V showing him the way. You know what I mean?
But,
so, but anyways.
But that just goes to show, like, how Alan Moore views his product. So we're going to not talk too much more about him.
Yeah, we're done with that.
Move on. But, so, in the event, in the aftermaths of Watchmen, on the very last pages and in the very last scenes of the movie, you see Rorschach's journal end up at the at the mail offices or whatever, and someone's like, "Hey, we need something to print. What do we print? Because we're all out of stories. Like everybody's done hearing about the explosion, blah blah blah." And they're like, look in the fucking the submitted bin or whatever and see if you can find a fucking story out of there so we can run that. Essentially, their guy finds it and he's like, "Hey, I got this," and it's just. And the end of the movie begins with Rorschach's journal, with Rorschach saying like, "Night one, a comedian died today."
Yeah, tonight. The details of what really happened, Asmodeus' plan, all that stuff.
What happens in Doomsday Clock is we take a leap forward where now Ozymandias is everybody's like, "Holy shit!"
He's the man at large.
He was the man at large, so he's like the most wanted man in the world at this point. And he's pretty much gone underground. He's gone into hiding because he can't, if anybody finds him, they're going to either one, kill him, arrest him, or try to kick his ass, which at this point he's like super old, but like he's older and you probably still couldn't kick his ass, but whatever. We'll get to that later on as well. But this just sets up the events for Doomsday Clock and where it sits at. So the first couple of issues, I think it's issues 1 through 3, don't really center around them coming to the DC current world, which is the New 52 at this point. And so to get you kind of involved in what the story is like John, Dr. Manhattan, has exiled himself, yes, to Mars. He did do that. But he also left reality. Like he's like, I'm done with this reality. I'm done. So it is exactly like the end of the movie where John's like, I'm done with you people here. Like, you offer me nothing. Yeah. I'm leaving. And he leaves. This, in turn, John says, and a very key point here, John says something. He says, I'm going to try to create life somewhere else and see what happens. And so it's implied that John creates the multiverse.
Basically, yeah.
Like he starts scanning through the multiverse and he finds all these things, and in one universe he finds where he can't see himself, and this just so happens to be this Earth with Batman, Superman, the New 52 Earth. He finds himself there. Now Ozymandias at this point has enlisted, which I thought was really weird and was a big shocker when the book came out because you didn't know what the hell. Has enlisted the help of Rorschach too, but you don't know this because
you don't know. You just think it's just Rorschach, which makes no sense.
Wait a minute, Rorschach died.
I was gonna say, didn't he die?
Yeah. And he gets exploded at the end.
He gets exploded.
I like that. And you get like this weird thing where you're just like, what the hell? Rorschach's back. So like immediately in issue 2. It might have been at the end of issue 1. I was hooked. I'm like, holy shit, Rorschach's back.
Oh yeah, how is he back?
What the fuck? Like, because like with at this point you're thinking like, okay, Dr. Manhattan could have snapped his fingers
exactly
and brought him back into existence.
Mm-hmm.
As we go in further down, we find out this isn't the point. So Ozymandias enlists the help of Rorschach too, and they start saying like, hey, we're gonna try to track down. We need to find Dr. Manhattan because at this point the world has went back to where everything Ozymandias stopped, which was a nuclear strike between the Cold War. He stopped all that when the squids or the bombs went off.
It's like a common enemy. They found a common enemy. So now they no longer have that.
So now that they no longer have, exactly. So like what ends up happening is they're like, oh shit, now as humankind does, they don't learn anything from history. And they go right back to fucking going back at war. So again, they're talking about like, oh, there's going to be another nuclear strike, and this time it's going to be the end of the world. So Ozymandias is like, I can't let this happen. Like, this is everything I fought against, everything that I sacrificed, and why I'm in exile. I thought at this point is because I tried to stop this, and humans just don't give a shit.
It's super hard, yeah.
So they're continuing, like, so here we go again, like. Ozymandias is like, I need to find John. At this point, he spawns. Jesus, Indy, what the hell was his name of his dog? Barbados.
Like I think it's like Bastabist.
Yeah, something like
that. Basbistus.
So
Basbistus. I think
so.
At this point,
he's revealed that he's recloned a copy of him. So like he's genetically engineered another copy, which he calls Baptist 2.
Yeah, something like that.
And you're like, okay, it's back. Okay, and we know that Ozymandias is a genetic, manipulator. So we know he can do these things. It's not kind of that big of a shock.
Yeah, he's crazy smart. Yeah,
you just thought like, okay, he wanted his pet back, so he brought it back. That gets a little complicated later on. What ends up happening is Ozymandias is like, we need to find John because he's the only one that can fix my mistake. So it's a redemption. It's kind of a redemption story for Ozymandias at this point, and it's kind of not. So Ozymandias enlists the help of Rorschach 2, who it doesn't take very long to find out who Rorschach 2 is, because I think by the end of book 2, book 3, you find out everything you know about Rorschach 2, which is you find out that he's the doctor that was interviewing Rorschach. That's his son.
Yeah, his son. Yeah, kind of a weird kind of trip up. Like, it's such a far thought out character. You're like, okay, I could see that. Like, I didn't see it coming, but I can see it. It makes sense because everything's connected somehow, and this is one of those points right there.
Right. So like, and you're like, out of all people, like, why this kid? You're kind of like, why did he decide I want to become
like,
Dirty
take the
Rorschach?
mantle. Yeah.
And it's because, and as you get, I think it's issue 4 and 5, you get more of the backstory into what happens there. But right now we're going to focus with the time leap, which, well, I'm not going to say time leap. I should say dimension leap.
Like dimension leap, dimension hop, whatever you want to call it.
That happens. So at the same time, the first nuclear bombs get launched. Ozymandias, Rorschach, and now Ozymandias has used Rorschach to go find Mime and Marionette, which are two characters that are going to become very significant.
Super important.
Because Ozymandias is like, I need you guys to help me. And they're villains in the Watchmen universe. And like they're actually like hardcore villains in the Watchmen universe. And there's a lot of them. Like there were a few of them mentioned, but these guys were like the Joker and Harley of the Watchmen universe.
Pretty much, yeah.
So like it was
Mime
like,
has like special abilities and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you're like, these guys can't be like for real. They kind of look like stupid at first when you see them, and then you realize that like they have the Joker Harley Quinn tendencies because they're ultra violent. So like it's do what they say or I'm going to kill you, and then it's like, or it's okay, you didn't do it, you're good, you're a good guy, and then just you're dead. All of a sudden your throat's slashed. So like they're that violent. So Rorschach goes into prison and he breaks out Marionette and originally they just wanted, I think, Marionette, but she refuses.
Just her, without Mime,
she refuses to leave Mime, but Rorschach's like, we don't have time for this. And I love Rorschach too, because they give him like, here's one of the cool things, and I think you'll like this because Crystal, I know you like the Rorschach character in the movies, like, and what's his name, John Earl Haley or whatever his name is,
John Earl Haley, something like that.
Amazing job as Rorschach, dude.
He did great.
But so when he goes like Rorschach 2, he shares all of Rorschach's like mannerisms too. Like he purposely like
he studied him almost.
Yeah, he studied like Rorschach. So like he purposely doesn't shower. He purposely like uses like the like when like you catch him off guard, he just goes like he doesn't like to talk much, and he talks just like Rorschach did, like where it's like, what are you doing? I'm fine like this. And he says like, he's very is man, like, which is why before you're revealed that this is Rorschach, you really think it's Rorschach.
It's Rorschach
because holy shit, like his mannerisms,
just like him.
Everything is just like him. So like I swear to God, like when I'm reading, I'm like, dude, please be this. So as we go further down the rabbit hole, Mime, Marionette, Ozymandias, and Rorschach all meet up back at Night Owl's mansion. Or not his mansion, the underground lair.
His like basement lair, underground lair.
And Ozymandias reveals that the whole time that Rorschach's been bailing out Marionette and Mime, it's revealed that like Rorschach does not give a shit about Ozymandias, because you got to remember, like what I said, Ozymandias is the most wanted person on the planet for destroying everything.
Huge reason. Yeah.
Well, at the same time, who got caught up in that explosion? Rorschach's father. right? Like you in the comic books, you see him die as well, and they did a really good job illustrating that in the movie because you see him walking down, and then his briefcase falls, and you see all the ink blots coming out because he's testing Rorschach, and then you see the explosion, and he's caught in that. So Ozymandias Rorschach doesn't give a shit about Ozymandias, but he does see that this needs to happen. So like
this is way worse. The outcome's way worse.
So they team up, but they have this uneasy alliance, and it like to where Rorschach's like, I don't care about you. I'll fucking kill you eventually, but right now, other shit needs to get done.
You're necessary,
yeah. So like, and then it's revealed that like Ozymandias is dying of a
like a cancer or some shit.
Yeah. So they all meet up, and Ozymandias reveals to them that like I've been modifying Night Owl's ship so I can track John's signature. So So what ends up happening is they end up dimension hopping, just as I believe it was a nuclear bomb goes off, like right as they're going, which I guess kind of helped them go into the dimension. You can take the scene.
It boosted it.
It boosted it and shot them into the new 52 universe that we're currently reading in the DC universe, which takes place after Flashpoint. Now we'll cover Flashpoint at a later time because that one is there's a lot, but if you want the basic and you know what the sad part is, I would say go watch the animated version of Flashpoint, but it's not going to help you understand anything for Doomsday Clock because they didn't do that. They didn't do the button.
Yeah, they skipped over it.
Which is stupid because they could have done Doomsday Clock as a
I know, dude,
as an animated series. So I would say go watch Flashpoint, but watching it's not going to do it. You'd have to actually read it.
Still gonna be fun, but yeah.
But maybe we'll cover that in a later episode. So what ends up happening is now they get there, and it's revealed that the Ozymandias' dog, right, can track John's signature. So this is how they know where he went. So the hunt is on, looking for Dr. Manhattan. Now we get into the next couple of books, and it's Dr. Manhattan doing that thing again where he's like, I'm in 1945. Now it's 1956. I'm back in 1945.
Yeah, he's figuring out his own timeline.
He's looking at himself and in this new 52 universe. But as he's doing it, you're starting to realize like, wait, what? So you're starting to see him tinker with some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he talks about is the original Green Lantern. And
Alan Scott. Yeah,
Alan Scott, who was in a train accident. And just so happens, right as the train is going over this bridge, Alan Scott discovers the lantern, which gives him his powers.
Mm-hmm.
A different let's to be clear, Alan Scott
the original is
a different Green Lantern.
Yeah.
So this tells me this is already not the John Stewart or Guy Gardner or
Hal Jordan
universe. This is the Justice Society universe.
Justice Society of America. Yeah.
Okay. So you have to take that into account here. So this is based in the JSA.
I'm lost.
Because so the JSA
in the
is
40s and 50s.
I'm gonna let Andy do
the
this.
Golden Age. It's like they call it the Golden Age of comics, where they had like very like human heroes who like fought in war and stuff and fought like the Nazis and stuff like that. And so DC at one point had a bunch of random heroes, and they said, let's bring them together into one team, and they made the Justice Society of America. And it's like a bunch of old school heroes. It's not the Flash. It's like the what is the Silver
Flash.
Bullet? It is the Flash. What was his
Flash.
Original name?
It's that Flash is Jay Garrick.
It was Jay Garrick. Yeah.
Jay Garrick is.
I thought he had this.
No. Okay. Name. So the timeline with
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
The timeline with the JSA is they are the first superheroes.
Yeah, the first team superheroes.
So they exist like in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. Whereas like so does Superman in this timeline, and so does Batman. But they all existed like in this, golden what they call the Golden Age. Okay?
Yeah.
The stuff you read now is the Silver and I don't know what the
like modern age.
Modern age.
Yeah. It'll eventually get a new name.
So those two. Okay, so Crystal, you have the Justice Society, which is different universe. And then you have modern
Yep.
society, silver, which is different universe. Then you have modern, which is different universe. So
Because of the way they were writing things, they decided, hey man, there's too much shit out there, and they said, well, why don't we just say there's a multiverse? And that's how.
So this is the multiverse.
Like the first couple books of like Crisis started coming out and doing that stuff too.
And there'll be an
That's a
episode where
whole
we
nother
talk
mess.
about Crisis. Yeah, we can talk about
Final
Crisis one day,
Crisis.
but that episode,
Infinite
guys,
Crisis,
if you guys
Jesus.
want us to talk about Crisis, leave a comment
My
because
God.
that's going to be a nice little
That's like a
almost
4-parter,
3-hour episode.
Yeah, that's a 4-parter for sure.
Yeah, it'll be fucking parts because that book is not short.
No.
But let's so going back. So so Dr. Manhattan, okay, is now tinkering with this timeline. So he says, the year is this. I forget, so go read the books. The year is this. I move a lantern 3 steps out of the way. So as he's falling in the train, he cannot reach
grab it.
Alan Scott dies.
Doesn't exist. Yeah.
Doesn't exist. Green Lantern doesn't exist. Then he flashes forward. He's like, this happens. This character no longer exists because he's changing the outcome of the future, like of what's going on here. And give me 1 second here, guys. I'm just gonna kind of drop into some stuff here for my research, and bear with me for a second. So you do have still like some of the characters there, but this is what Dr. Manhattan has been doing. And then flash forward, Rorschach. We get to see Rorschach finally interact with Batman.
Yeah, that was huge.
This is crazy. So now remember, if I tell you this, remember that I said Superman has existed. Now, in this universe, Superman is literally the strongest hero. There is no other hero stronger than Superman. Like, he is the golden Boy Scout. He is everything, right? So, like, he is the fucking standard. Even though, like, Alan Scott, Jay Garrett have been around for so long that they were actually in World War II, and this talks about that. You know, like, but because Manhattan has moved all these things, they cannot remember them, and they were all teamed up at one point. But because Manhattan has moved all these things off the table,
he's altered it.
He's altered reality. So, like, Bruce Wayne, Superman doesn't remember any of these characters. So, like, they've just been like they don't even know anything's been changed because this is all they know is this is the reality they've always lived in. Okay?
Yeah.
So at this point you start seeing like pictures of John, the same picture you saw on Mars, kind of floating everywhere. Like, it seems to be every time he does a temporal skip, you're seeing this picture.
It's almost like a footnote just being left behind. Yeah.
So at this point, you're like, oh, crazy. So Rorschach goes to Batman, and Batman's like, he gives Rorschach's journal. And Batman's like, I need time to read this. He's like, why don't you take a nap, take a shower, please? And he's like, no, I don't want to do this. Now, there's a few things that'll happen later on with Rorschach that we have to explain in his backstory. But Batman, like, wakes up in the morning, and he's like, hey, I finished this journal. Like, I'm going to help you. And he's like, cool. He's like, we need to go find these people. So he leads Rorschach into Arkham Asylum, and he's like, through this door is the person I think you're looking for that's named John. And Rorschach, you know, trusting Batman at this point, walks into the cell, and Batman shuts the cell behind him. And he says, this is where you belong. He's like, because you're fucking psycho.
Yeah, Batman doesn't know, man. He doesn't know.
And Batman walks
away. It's another universe.
Batman walks
how's
away.
He supposed to know? Rorschach, though.
Yeah. And Rorschach's like,
my man.
Yeah, and Rorschach's like, you fucking asshole, like, let me out of here.
Yeah.
You know, he starts like, going psycho like Rorschach does, like the old Rorschach did. He starts going crazy. He doesn't want to be cooped up. And Batman's like, this is for your own good. And he's like, because, you know, everything I've read in your journal, you deserve to be in here.
It's a fantasy. It's a made-up place. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So, like, fucking boom, Batman ditches Rorschach in there. So now Rorschach's essentially taken out of the equation. Now at the same time, Ozymandias, at the same time this is happening, Ozymandias has encountered Lex Luthor of this universe.
Yeah.
And he tells Lex, like, hey, this is what's going on, but in order to do this, I kind of need your technology, and I'm just going to steal it from you because you can't stop me. So Ozymandias prepares to take on Lex Luthor and beats shit out of Lex Luthor, but then something happens.
Get a surprise.
And
surprise guest.
Yeah. And you turn out, like, Ozymandias is about to, like, take what he needs from Luthor and gets shot in the fucking arm. And you're like, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. And you turn the page, and there's the fucking comedian.
The comedian. Crazy shit, dude.
It's not a new comedian. It is the original comedian from Watchmen.
As he was thrown out a fucking window.
Yeah, I was going to say.
As he was falling out of the window, after Ozymandias threw him out, and remember, when they're fighting... the comedian knows it's Ozymandias. The viewer or the comic reader doesn't know this because it's not revealed till later on.
It's shadowed out,
It's shadowed out, or it's not given. But as they're fighting, he knows who it is. So, like, the comedian gets thrown out the window, and as he's falling to his death, he's about to hit the ground. The button hits the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Disappears, and so does the comedian. Before the comedian impacts to the ground. Okay? Now, remember, before the comedian falls out of the window, as they're fighting, that's when the drop of blood goes onto the button. Mm-hmm. So what happened, and you find this out, is John moved the comedian. He was like...
Yeah, you say you're not going to die there.
And he moved him to this universe. And the comedian lands in like a river, and then that's it. He goes on to live his life. With the knowledge of, fuck Ozymandias, he killed me. Fuck this, like, why am I here? But I'm going to make the most of it, and fuck it, I'm still me. So he retains all the memories of his universe. Because that's the one thing John can't alter. He can move the comedian, which is, and it really gives you hope at the end of the series that we're going to see Rorschach, right? Because we're like, he could do this. Maybe when he did explode him, he didn't kill him. He moved him.
He's changed. He moved him,
He moved his particles, and he moved him somewhere. Okay, so immediately I'm like, oh, if the comedian's alive, this is gonna work. This could be awesome. This could be awesome. So like, but Ozymandias ends up getting away. Now at the same time, Marionette and Mime are like tied up.
They're just causing havoc,
and they just decide, we're gonna go fuck shit up. Yeah. So at first they show up and they tend to rob kind of one of the wrong people you could rob.
Oh god, it's so good.
And
just the perfect clash.
That the people, they walk into a bar and they start some shit, and then you're like, okay, who are we fucking with? And all these guys have branded Joker emblems on there, and Mime and Marionette proceed to fuck up the Joker's gang.
Easy though,
and like the game
is a cakewalk.
It's not even a fight for them. And I love and as Indy was saying, and I'm gonna let you take this. Mime does some things, and go ahead, because I've been talking this whole time. So where I'm at.
So it's crazy because for a little bit, you get a little taste of Mime's power earlier in some issues, especially in when they're breaking out with Rorschach and stuff like that, and you don't really understand how intense his powers are until you get to this scene where they're in the bar fucking people up. He's literally just moving his fingers, and some of the gang members are like, "What the fuck is he doing?" And he's just fucking slicing people and ripping them apart, while at the same time Marionette's just running around beating the shit out of everybody, and it's just it was so well choreographed that like. I read that issue kind of a long time ago. I can still see it all happening, and he's just doing this crazy. It's nuts. It was, oh man, it was just so badass.
To break it down, because 1 second, I'm gonna let Indy keep going, okay?
No, keep going.
One of the things I love is like Marionette has like these strands, like she uses like almost piano wire, okay?
Yeah.
Really thin, so it cuts through anything. So like one of the Joker's members like grabs, like points a gun at her. She cuts through the gun and then cuts the dude's hand off at the same, like almost in one sweep movement, right?
Yeah.
And she doesn't do it like to where she wraps it around and pulls it tight. She moves so quickly and does it so fast, and this line is so tight that she just pushes it into shit, and it cuts you. And it can cut like steel. So like it's crazy, right? But like at the same time, so like all these dudes are like, you little bitch, and they're gonna gang up on her. And this is where Indy was talking about.
Yeah,
Mime does this.
Mime loses his
Mime
mind.
does this, and he goes like that.
Yeah.
And people are like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you fucking stupid? Like, there's nothing there." And then I'll let Indy continue. The next scene you see is
it's just fucking straight gun guys blown to bits.
Yeah,
just fucked. Like it's like what the fuck,
Yeah,
and all he's just doing is, hey, what's up,
his
man?
fingers, and people
We're
are
done.
dying.
Yeah.
Now, in the Watchmen universe, okay, there's not really like you're the only person we know of that has powers is Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, like straight up super.
Aside from like all the heroes training their body to like 100% physical performance that allows them to break someone's fucking jaw in half with one punch.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that's all about, but okay. Like, because I mean, the way Silk Spectre and Night Owl, especially when you watch the movie, fuck up the gang members, I'm like, even Batman has
hit that hard. Yeah.
Okay, but for for whatever purposes. So I don't necessarily think Mime has powers. I think his guns are just casted in an invisible, I want to say alloy or some kind of something.
Every like weapon he uses has some kind of like invisible
cloak or something like a powder or something. But you don't know. You're never told this. So it doesn't really matter.
It's a lot of theory.
They gain the attention of course, the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the Joker's like, I actually like you guys. Like, let's be friends. Because,
of course.
And his gang is like, dude, you just fucked all of us up. And he's like, oh, I don't care about you guys.
It doesn't matter. I'll kill all of you myself.
So it's later revealed that Ozymandias and Rorschach had to go get Mime and Marionette because of a very specific reason. And Indy, do you remember that reason?
As Marionette eventually will have a kid, right? Is this what we're talking about? That is very important for John, and that gets revealed a little later too. And I don't know if you want to get into that already, but
well, let me just run a few more things by here, and then we'll go to that. So what happens is originally is like you're like, okay, so what's going on here? So what's happening? And Ozymandias had seen a video of a bank robbery, which happened to be Mime and Marionette. Mm-hmm. John shows up, Dr. Manhattan, and like, there are a million ways John can stop you. But one of the most ones he finds most intriguing is kind of just like, you're dead.
Evaporating you.
So as Marionette and Mime are like, oh, we're fucked kind of now. He's like, but they're like, go ahead, do it. We don't give a shit. Fuck you. You may be all powerful, but we don't really care about you. So go fuck yourself. John raises his hand, and he's about to kill Marionette, but stops.
Yeah.
And instead knocks them out and takes them into custody, and where they resided this entire time. So Ozymandias picked up on this, and he goes, so Ozymandias is like, maybe there is a fucking brink of humanity left in John, and that's why he did not kill her.
They can bring him back,
So that's why Mime and Marionette have went with Ozymandias and Rorschach. At the same time, while Rorschach's in Arkham, like, it's really great. He starts seeing like a shrink, much like his dad saw Rorschach. But you get some of Rorschach's two's past, which ends up he was trained and he was taught his principles by none other than Mothman, who was one of the original members of the Watchmen.
Yeah.
Who later dies and claims that, like, I had the last notes of your father. Like, that's what Ozymandias gave to me, and I'm sorry that I let you down, but, like, the things you're trying to do are not good. Like, Rorschach was not a good person. The things that are happening are not good. Like, you're looking, like, you're seeing the truth you want to see, not the truth for what it is. And so all this ends up happening, and while he's in Arkham, these are all flashbacks, while he's interviewing with this psychiatrist. So eventually what ends up happening is Ozymandias gets a little bit better. They're all going to meet up again. But Rorschach pretty much gets broken out of jail with the help of, and this one caught me off guard, the help of, was it Saturn Girl? I believe it's Saturn Girl.
Saturn Girl from the Legion. Yeah.
And Legion, she's actually a hero from the future that originally came back to help Clark Kent realize he needs to be Superman, because there's a point
Yeah.
in his life where he's like debating, I don't want to be Superman. And I just want to live a normal life, or I can do whatever I want because I have all these powers. Think Brightburn, kind of almost that term. But she ends up showing up with 2 other members of the Legion, and they convince him that he must go down the path of Superman, the path of the righteous. So what ends up happening is, we skip forward a few more times. Alfred breaks Rorschach out of jail. I believe that's how it happened. Rorschach gets out.
Something, yeah. It's Saturn Girl. Alfred's involved. Yeah.
There's a few things that happen. You find out that Alan Scott's friend, mentor, and then later on in years, as we would find out that Alan Scott was gay, his lover, helped also Rorschach get out, because they realize something's been tampered with. They're starting to put the pieces together. The pieces are starting to fall in line, that something's changed. And now Batman's like, fuck, I fucked up. And you're kind of wondering, like, how does Batman know he fucked up? Well, you find out that as Batman walks into the Batcave, he takes off a mask, and he was the psychiatrist talking to Rorschach, to Ronnie.
Ooh.
And so, like, you're like, oh, shit. Like, that's crazy. So, like, Alfred also had read it and tries convincing Bruce that, like, no, something's wrong. Like, why would these people just show up out of nowhere and have memories of stuff that never happened, saying that you have memories of things that never happened and you don't realize it? So that's where we start getting into, like, the New 52 stuff, to where it's like, okay, our memories have been altered. And as Batman starts digging into this, he starts noticing that, like, wait, what is the JSA? And he starts noticing, like, little things have been altered within their reality.
Like, they're no longer there. And I want to touch on this real quick. The whole time all this is happening, Superman is going through some political strife, because something is going on in the world where they think, because of Superman, a bunch of horrible things are happening. And they're calling it the Superman theory. And there's a hero in Moscow who's kind of like Firestorm, and but his shit's like unstable, but he's accusing Firestorm of like creating him, or it gets really comcomplicated. But
okay, so I'm a little bit more refreshed with this.
Yeah.
I'll break it down a little bit better. At the same time, we are introduced to the Superman theory, which I have been skipping to just concentrate more on the Watchmen side of things, right? The Superman theory is that power breeds power, and the government is in fear of Superman. Like, theoretically speaking, there's nothing that can stop him.
Yeah, they're trying to find deterrence.
What happens is, like, everybody that showed up with powers, at this point, Firestorm is the big play here. It's revealed that the U.S. government had been experimenting on metahumans, experimenting to try to make metahumans.
Basically, yeah.
Firestorm, who is 2 split personalities, is like, no, this is wrong. I'm combined with the professor as a result of the explosion. What you come to find out is it was all true.
Yeah.
Because
it wasn't as accidental.
The professor lured him in. Actually intended to use it on himself, but then the explosion happened, which combined both of them to create
both of them. Yeah.
Didn't have the effect that the professor wanted. The professor originally was just going to have the power to himself, and thus the America would have the ability to create metahumans, and that's everything. And this is the Superman theory, because, like, what's happening is, think of an arms race, but now they're doing an arms race to this. So, like, they believe that Superman is the first one. So the public wants him gone. Like, they're just like, no, this is not acceptable. We want him gone.
Because we can't control him.
Yeah. So, like, he's the ultimate nuclear deterrent. Like, if Superman wanted to, you're dead, and there's nothing you can do about it. Again, Brightburn. Okay. So that's pretty much that theory, right? So at the same time, this event happens in Moscow, where Firestorm's accused of turning everybody into crystals, and the government's like, no, this is shit we're talking about. So the Russian government is like, no, fuck this. Like, we're sending our metahumans to go get you, turn yourself in, and Superman, if you stand with him, you're against us too. So it's the bipolar opposite of the nuclear arms race. America versus Russia, except they're using metahumans at this point. Firestorm takes one of the children that was turned into crystal and ends up being able to use all of his power to turn this kid back to human, revealing that this can be done. Meanwhile, Moscow has quarantined the area where they were at, where Superman and him. Well, they make their grand entrance. Long story short, some shit gets happen. The heroes start fighting amongst themselves, and all the people start getting killed that were turned into crystal, because if you touch them, they're glass.
They're gone, yeah.
So they'll break. And at that point, he can't bring them back. So Firestorm is accused, and Superman by trying to
by taking a side,
are accused of manslaughter in Russia for killing all these innocent people, men, women, and children, who happened to be in the vicinity when Firestorm exploded. So that's going to play into something later on. We end up going into John's backstory, how John showed up here, and we're going to get ready to wrap this up here, because now we realize like John has been on Mars doing anything, and at the same time you see like all the Leaguers are like, okay, now we're starting to realize something's going on, and there's something big in Mars. And so all
something's up there.
Yeah, someone's there pulling these strings, because there is a large energy source coming from there. So all of the Leaguers show up there to go stop John, and he pretty much defeats them without fucking trying.
Easy.
And he just disappears. Now remember,
he even like deactivates the lantern ring, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
Like he just stops it. Like fuck.
Yeah, he's just like, he takes all the Green Lantern's rings off and just like, you don't need these, and just stops them. Like everybody's pretty much powerless against him. Mm-hmm. To the point where like he stops them all and just walks away.
Yeah.
So like,
it's
pretty trippy. It's a great scene. It also, and honestly,
it is. It's very cool.
Like, you know, there's a lot of them that are like really powerful, and the Green Lanterns are supposed to be in the JSA universe. They're kind of like the equal to Superman. They're really powerful. The Lantern Corps is like super powerful. Okay, so like being able to take out one member, let alone 3 or 4, that's saying something in that universe. That's saying a lot. So like they know, oh shit, like this guy's not to be fucked with. At this point we move into, remember the photographs I said that were being left behind? So they find this photograph on Mars, and it looks like wherever John goes, whenever he changes something, these photos are, like Indy said, they're an imprint. They leave. Yeah. So it turns out that Lex is like, I have something I need to show you, Lois, because Lois and Lex have been investigating the Superman theory this whole time. Lois is like, I know you're behind this, Lex, because this is what you wanted. You wanted the world against Superman, and this is what you wanted. And he's like, actually, no. He shows her to this secret vault, and in this vault, it's the picture.
Yeah,
of Dr.
but
Manhattan.
like hundreds of them.
Yeah, and he's like, what the hell? And he's like, well, here's the weird thing. We found this one in a jungle in 1957 or 56 or something. Meanwhile, the one that was just left on Mars was literally just left there. So you're like, what the fuck? How is this possible? So every time John jumped in different times, anytime he interacted with somebody in different time, he left this picture. And there's a lot to do, which I don't really give a shit about this part of the story, with a movie actor and John trying to kind of redeem himself. So he tells the actor like little bits just to help him get
of his future,
in his future. So like
the guy's called him his anchor. It was the way that Manhattan. You find out that's how he was able to manipulate this world, by understanding how it worked through one person. Which I feel the same way. I think they gave it too much weight, and I was like, I get what you're saying. But the Manhattan I know just would have figured it out. But okay, I get it. You know, like he was using him as an anchor to stabilize himself in this universe.
Yeah, so like he gives this guy just a bit of enough to like make his life go from being a shit life to he becomes like an actor, which is just throughout the whole story. We are getting a little long. This is gonna be an hour episode.
A little longer, yeah.
But in the end, what ends up happening is, and let's just get straight to it. So Dr. Manhattan, now we're going to follow Dr. Manhattan because Rorschach's out of Arkham and he's on his way to meet back up with Ozymandias. Ozymandias as meeting back up with Mime and Marionette. Marionette and Mime at this point with the Joker ran into like all the other villains.
Yeah, coming together
to be like, so what do we do about this Superman theory? Because like, if it's real, we could possibly triumph as heroes and make a little money on the side. And the one pulling all the strings is Riddler, and like Mime Marionette kicks him like in the face and just makes Joker like her even more because Joker hates the fucking Riddler. So it's really funny.
This whole crazy thing.
But once they all come back together, we start looking more into like why Manhattan did the things he did. And this is the big shock, and it starts churning it. I want to say at about book 8, books between book 7 and 8. There. We start seeing this change, and you're like, okay, and this is where the story starts getting like really good. Okay, and I'm gonna break this down as best as I can. Indy, kind of back me up here if you can. So we find out that Dr. Manhattan cannot see X amount of time into the future.
Yeah,
it's blank.
It stops for him,
and he's like, what the hell? Like, this has never happened. So like he's like, but it centers around one person. Now, Crystal, I've been telling you this story for a minute. Who do you think that one person is?
The baby inside what's her face?
No.
Oh.
The one person he can't see after his collision and his contact with them is Superman.
Yeah.
Oh.
The last image he sees of Superman. The last point of the future is Superman. Not only just Superman, but Superman pissed the fuck off and looking like he's ready to rile up a good punch.
Yeah.
So
like pretty much like that's the end.
Yeah.
And that's all Manhattan sees because at this point Manhattan's starting to realize like there's an entity that can kill me, and he's like, is that even possible?
That's my end.
Like that's my end. So like the whole reason Manhattan So like now we're drawn back to the first couple of issues here.
Because,
like now we're drawn back and we see why Manhattan did this because he couldn't figure out who it was. He removed Alan Scott. He removed Jay Garrett. He removed all these other characters.
He removed all those heroes
who he thought were the cause of it. And now as we get into like issues 8, issues 9, issues 10, we start seeing what else happened and what the other things that tried to play out. So as he did this, he's like, okay, it wasn't this guy, but it's done. I can't fix that. What's done here is I did that and I can't fix that. But it wasn't that guy. Like I still can't see past this point. So like even after he's removed all these characters, so then he's like, it's got to be this one, and he hones in on Superman. And he starts saying like, okay, and in typical Manhattan fashion, we start getting the year is this, a baby crash lands on Earth. I changed this, so the parents
he still comes back, but
him.
Later,
and he still becomes Superman. And he's like, fuck, they still get him, and they say, the year is this, a car crash happens. Martha Kent and John Kent are killed. He still becomes Superman. He's like, what the fuck?
What you're seeing is all the past iterations of Superman being brought further and further into the current time. Yeah. So like every couple of years, like Superman, if he still starts in like 1930 something, he would be like 100 years old right now. So what they do is every couple of years, Superman's birth is moved like to 1980 something. So like every time. So like in our future, when we're having little kids reading books, they'll probably have a Superman that's been born at our time period, you know what I mean?
2021 or something. So,
but he's seeing it as this is his universe or his meta universe, as he starts to call it. Keep changing without him changing it. It's the meta universe bringing Superman back every time, no matter how many times he tries to take Superman out.
Yeah, it's Superman is the constant. Is a constant. Like he is a force of nature at this point. Like it's trying to destroy Earth and it doesn't happen. The universe wants Earth to be there, so it's going to happen. So in the case of a Big Bang event, it doesn't matter. If you remove Earth in the Big Bang, Earth is still there. It may be changed and altered, but Earth is Earth, and there's no way to stop that. So Dr. Manhattan's like, what the fuck? I cannot do this. I can't keep this up. So every time he tries to delete Superman from reality, it doesn't work. It will not work. So he ends up starting to understand, and this is how we find out that like Superman is not going to ever disappear. This is not going to happen. So John is left with the ultimate fate. He must confront Superman and find out what the hell is going on. Well, okay, so I want to pause right there for a second. Okay, so as I read this, when that big reveal comes, that like of John constantly going through and trying to change Superman's past, and as Indy explained it, and you did a really good job explaining that, by the way, because when I'm reading it, when I was reading it, no, I didn't get it. I'm just like, okay, how is Superman always, the way you put it makes it like,
Yeah.
that's how he's always like in his 30s.
Yeah.
It never made sense to me until you fucking said that right now. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But okay, so like, but when I got to this part in the books, guys, I was like, it was, I think, because I read on my apps every night before I go to bed, right? And like, I got to that, and I'm like, okay, let me stop here for the night. I finished that book. Let me just stop. I think it was book 8. Let me just stop. I woke up at like 12 o'clock midnight, and because I couldn't sleep, and I opened my tablet, and here I go again, and I end up finishing Doomsday Clock because I'm like, where is this going?
There's so
That's
much.
how fucking good that reveal.
Actually, I think it was book 10. Actually, book 10. So we're pretty close to the end. At this point.
Pretty close to the end.
Yeah.
To put it that's like, I'm like, I have to finish this because it's running in my head. I'm like, I want to finish it. I can't wait till tomorrow night to lay down. Like, I'm like, do I go to work, come home, and lay down at 8 o'clock so I can finish reading, or do I just, I'm up now, it's running through my head, I'm gonna finish this, and this is how I came to finish it because that reveal right there was just fucking amazing. Like, I was like, holy crap, dude. So it's revealed, like I said, Superman is the one constant. Like, you cannot get rid of Superman. He even tried this shit. Like, he's like, Krypton explodes. I moved the rocket. He still comes to fucking Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
every time.
He's like, I do this. He's still fucking alive. It's like the universe wants Superman. Yeah. No matter what you do, Superman is Superman and will grow up to be Superman. He can try to make him evil because, like, that's what he tried to do when he killed Martha and his father. When he tried to kill them, he was like, what if I turn Superman evil? My future might change. But Superman doesn't go that path. He wants to. And you can see
he admits that even he's more distant from humanity. He was like, this is the Superman that I relate to even more because he's not as human, but yet the only thing he wants to do is save the people of this planet. He doesn't care.
Like, even though
regardless.
Even though this tragedy happened to him, whatever makes Superman Superman, he is still Superman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like, it was just an incredible reality. So we end up going here, and like, all the heroes show back up on Earth, and they're getting ready to fight because everybody, like, the Russians have now come to America to fight Superman. Yeah. And so Manhattan shows up, and he's like, well, I guess I'll just see what the hell happens.
He accepts kind of his end almost. He's like, all right. I just gotta.
Marionette and Mime show up along with Ozymandias, and Ozymandias finally gets to talk to John. And he says, John, I need you to come back to our reality. I fucked up. It's not working. You can fix it. And John, in his typical fashion, just like what you would expect, is like, I don't care. Yeah. It's like, you made your bed, lay in it. I'm done. I do not care. And you're like, wow, okay. And he's like, not the answer he wanted, but Ozymandias knows like he cannot fight John, so that's it. It's over. All this was for naught. Rorschach's pissed off. You're not going to find anything happening. You're like, okay, whatever. Here we go with the big closer here. So as we move forward, Marionette and Mime, like, Marionette like steps up to John and it's like, oh, you won't kill me. He's like, I didn't kill you because I couldn't kill you. I didn't kill you because of your child. He goes, yeah. What? And he's like, well, your first kid, because you find out John's like, you're pregnant again, by the way. And she's like, what?
Yeah, they have another kid, yeah.
Like, and he's like, but so the whole reason Mime and Marionette is originally when they went to prison, she was pregnant. John sensed this, and that's why he didn't kill her.
Yeah.
Back in the bank. So she gave birth in jail, but the kid was given up to adoption and taken away forever, gone. You're never going to see him again. The thing Ozymandias promised him was, I will give you your child. But Ozymandias didn't even know where the child was.
Yeah.
He was just bullshit.
It was just a ploy, yeah.
Typical, like, at this point when you're like, Ozymandias,
he's just manipulating everybody, all the time, right? Every day.
So what ends up happening is John's like, but, you know, you'll stay, like, I'm going to... there's some things I'm going to do. You'll stay here and live your life. And they're like, no, we want our other child. He's like, no, you're not getting him.
That can't change. Yeah.
Enjoy the life you will have with your new one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening though is, as in the earlier, Superman and John get ready to throw down. Here they go.
Yeah, they're gonna have their confrontation.
Like
Yeah.
he's so John explains everything that happened, and at this point, like he goes, "Oh, like Saturn Girl is like, no, you are the not constant." Like she points at John, she's like, "You're wrong. Like this is what happened," and he's like, "Actually, I'll show you something." And in front of Superman's eyes, he deletes Saturn Girl. She dies. Oh no, she was in a cell. I'm sorry.
No, it was Osmodeus who's basically telling her,
Ozymandias,
you don't exist.
Yeah, you don't exist, and so she disappears.
You just haven't realized it yet. Yeah.
And she disappears and blinks out of existence. So
Yeah.
Ozymandias is kind of a dick. Now this is, I'm sorry, I have to back up a little. This is before they confront Superman.
Yeah.
Before John confronts Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And Ozymandias has taken her and Alan Scott's lover in jail, who now he has possession of the lantern.
Say you or something like that. He's like a ghost hero. Yeah, he's a little crazy.
Yeah, he's an old hero.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is like, so now we get to the point. So like they're kind of like, I might have lost a little people there, and I apologize.
It's okay. You just jumped a little bit.
But yeah, so like there's this whole thing. Rorschach turned his back on Ozymandias. He's like, "Fuck you, whatever. I'm done."
He's kind of turned his back on everything
because
he's
find out like in this prison scene as John and so at the same, it's kind of I didn't really skip over it because it's happening at the same point.
It's happening at the same time, and it's
John
kind
and
of
Superman have now met up.
Story. Yeah.
And Ozymandias has Saturn Girl, this other guy captured, Rorschach, all captured, and he reveals that like, this is my whole trick the entire time. Rorschach gets pissed off, and
I don't even think he had cancer either. He was fucking lying about that too.
To Rorschach that
Ozymandias is a fucking asshole, a piece of man. He's just straight asshole the whole time, which is hilarious.
Yeah. So Superman, and so now what ends up happening is John is like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna reveal to you everything I did, and in turn to get Superman to go into that rage and fulfill John's destiny, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because at this point, John's like, I've accepted it. I'm going to die here. This is how I die. Mm-hmm. Okay. So John accepts it, and he says, "Here's what I did to you." And he explains that, like, I got rid of Saturn Girl. I did this. I did this.
Like,
I got rid
of killed your parents multiple times.
Parents, like, I tried to delete you from existence.
And you kept coming back. Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what you are, but I can't even stop you. And Superman's like, you did all this? And he's like, yes. And so, like, Superman goes into his fucking rage, like Indy was talking about. And then he's like, whatever.
Well, he's about to get. So, you see the punch, right, coming at him.
Oh.
But then it goes past him.
Yeah. Keep going.
And he actually saves Dr. Manhattan from one of the Russian heroes that was going to kill Manhattan for whatever reason. The guy just didn't know who he was, so he was going to kill him. And he saves him, and then Manhattan goes, like, now he's seeing past the last thing he can possibly see. And he's, like, super confused. He goes, why did you do that? Why did you save me? And Superman is like, because it doesn't matter. Like, all there is right now is there's a choice. There's people who are going to get hurt because all these heroes are fighting each other. Because right now there's a battle going on between all the heroes. Like Serge mentioned earlier. Yeah. They all came. Yeah. But Black Adam at the same time was trying to do his thing because he saw a world
that I skipped.
Yeah, that was a whole. Yeah, don't worry about that. But basically, it's super easy. Black Adam saw an opportunity, a power vacuum where a lot of the heroes weren't going to be there because some of them are stuck on Mars. Others are kind of like trying to figure out to stay away from everything. And so now you got this whole battle raging like in the middle of like DC or something. And he goes, are you going to start saving these people or not? Because I'm going to keep saving them. And he considers Manhattan one of those people that he was going to save, and so he saved him. And then Manhattan gets like a smile on his face, and he goes, I understand now. Like, you're hope. You're everything. You're the constant in the... Dude, I almost cried because I love Superman. That's my boy. Yeah. And he realizes the reason... Because the reason Manhattan gave up everything was because on his universe and his world, everything went to trash. He gave up. He was like, humanity is complete trash. Serge said this earlier. They're trash. They don't care about anything. They're worse than anything.
Yeah.
And he realizes his world was missing one thing, a Superman. And there was nothing like him. And in this world, there's always hope because of Superman. And it doesn't matter how many he distorts and creates more multiverses, Superman will always be that hope. And then he's like, okay, so now then it gets to the conversation between him and Asmodeus. And he starts telling Marionette and Mime, it's like, you guys are gonna be fine. I know you're not happy, but you'll be fine. You'll have love and you'll find with your child. And then I don't know if you mind, I'm going to talk about what the comedian does in that moment.
Keep going.
So now all this is happening. Manhattan's kind of working things at the same time. So he's talking to Asmodeus, and Asmodeus is like, he's like, yeah, I did all this basically so that you could understand who Superman is, and hopefully you could find that hope to come back to our Earth, to our universe, and save everybody again, because it's bad. And then he's just like,
a circle.
Yeah, it was all big fucking Asmodeus, what a dick. And so he goes, yeah, he's still a dick, great or good, whatever, but he's still a dick. And Manhattan's like, well, no, I'm not going to go by your plans. I have my own plans, and I'm going to fix everything the way I need to fix them.
Right.
And comedian's like, well, too bad for you, man. You're not going to see the end, and just fucking blast the dude. And it's like, holy shit, now Asmodeus is going to die. Manhattan's not doing anything about it. He's like, oh, well, shit happens. And Rorschach comes up, and Rorschach's pissed because now he knows everything. Right? He knows that, his dad died in vain, all the letters, all this shit. Batman finally kind of showed him the light a little bit, which is a small scene from earlier. Him and Alfred kind of like help him out. And he's like, all right, you're going to die. But you know what? You're not gonna die. He plugs up the bullet wound and says, and beautiful Rorschach, style. He pulls out the mask, plugs up the bullet wound, and goes, "You're gonna survive, and you're gonna face justice." And it's like, you son of a bitch, Rorschach 2, you did it again. So then now we get back focused to Manhattan, and Manhattan goes, "Okay, I'm gonna fix everything." So. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Like,
okay.
I just want to. I'm gonna let.
I heard
Indy
enough of Sergio.
Yeah,
go.
You heard enough of me, so I'm gonna let Indy finish the story off, and I'll pick up anywhere he forgets. Okay, but hold on. So the parts that Indy explained, the little parts that didn't make it, like the whole thing with Black Adam, I never cared because those parts to me in the book didn't matter. They do it.
Yeah, their weight wasn't.
But the things that they chronologically order doesn't matter. But Indy, go ahead and let's knock this thing out of the park.
Let's go.
So at this point, he's fixing everything, and Manhattan lets the multiverses exist. So his first real multiverse that he creates is the New 52, because it's the one that he affected the most. He's the one who basically set that up. And then he also, and he mentions it too. Then he goes, and the consequent rebirth, which is what eventually happens in the 52. We get rebirth. And he's talking about how all these worlds keep creating, but he is going to go back to his. He lets everybody go where they go. Marionette and Mime go into like confinement, but they have their kid and everything's happy. He brings Asmodeus and everybody back.
Well, hold on.
He brings the JSA back. Oh, go ahead.
There you go. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. He goes back to all the points that he went to, where he's like, I moved the lantern. He's like, I go back. I move the lantern 3 steps forward. He's like, I go here, I do this, and he does that. So he restores everything he fucked up.
Exactly. And he lets all these multiverses exist now. And now it was kind of a strange scene, though, because once he leaves, Superman's kind of like at his wit's end, and he's about to get beat down by everybody. And now the JSA shows up, and a bunch of other heroes show up, and you're like, I don't know how they're there with him at this time. But fuck it, this is badass. They all come together. Cool. It like something out of like Justice League the animated show. All the heroes come in and like basically save everybody. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was so fucking cool.
Now Manhattan's like, okay, I'm done fixing all that. Now I'm gonna go back to my world. Goes back to his world, and he's kind of sad because he's like, oh, it's cold. Like the ashes are still fresh from the nuclear bombs. Like everything is bad. And he goes, okay, I'm gonna fix it. So from my understanding, he goes back in time a little bit, removes all the nuclear weapons on Earth in his world from the original world that he was from.
From the Watchmen universe.
Yeah, from the Watchmen universe. Then he goes, and it turns out that the first kid that Marionette had with Mime, it wasn't just adopted. He actually, it was a point. He remarks. He goes, it was a point I couldn't see, and I never understood how that child became adopted by my former lover, the person I used to love, and gave her a good life with her new husband and everything. I didn't understand how that happened, but now I understand how I made it happen. So you see him go to the point where they take away Marionette's child, and he picks up the baby and goes, "Okay, I'm gonna leave you with them, and you'll have a happy life with them because you won't with Marionette." And all this stuff starts happening, and then you get to the final end of the book, and he has I'm a little confused because the child part.
Okay, so he takes the
Yeah.
child. All right, he takes
Yes.
the child, and like as they put him in the operating table, like they take the baby out, they put it in him, they're getting ready to weigh him. The nurses
Yeah.
go back, they're wheeling Marinette away. They turn around, the baby's gone. John
It's
takes
gone.
the baby.
Yes.
It's on Mars with John. John
Yes.
raises the child.
Yes, he raises the child, and as things go along, you keep seeing the child a little bit, and then he goes. They come back to Earth, and he says, "Okay, you're gonna go with that family or something like that."
Yeah.
And
no,
he
that's
goes,
what happened.
"Yeah." He goes, "Okay," and so then he goes to the house where you see. I think it's the other child of Marionette, right?
No.
Is that what it is?
No. Okay, so what happens is, John and the kids show up, right? So like we are done officially in the DC 52 universe.
DC, they got fixed up. Yeah,
back to the
rebirth is
Watchmen.
happening. All that
Everything
stuff is going
done
on.
there, so like, you don't have to worry about any of those characters. Okay.
Watchmen's consequences are being fixed.
Oh, the funny part too is, Indy left this out, is comedian. For shooting Ozymandias. One thing John does do.
Yeah, John. He goes,
like,
"Okay,
oh, by the way,
I'm just gonna put you back,"
and he puts you back. So comedian's like.
Yeah, he's like, son of a bitch. It just dies again.
John does this because that has to happen.
Yeah, that has to happen in order for his past to continue.
Yes, it has to happen. So what happens is John raises this kid on Mars for X amount of years.
On Mars, yes.
Then he shows up at, is it Sally Jupiter? Or it's the original, the Jupiter.
It's one of the, yeah.
He shows up at her house, and he's like, what do I do? What am I doing here? And he's like, this is going to be your new family. They're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
He's like, I want you to give them this from me. And you don't see what he gives him. And the little boy walks up to the door and rings the doorbell. Yeah. Well, just as the family's sitting down to have breakfast, they're going to have pancakes. Everything's good. The little girl's like, I'm going to go get the door. So their daughter, because they're adopting this kid, remember this, runs up to the door and opens it. And she's like, hi, how can I help you? And he's like, my dad told me to come give this letter to your mom. Who used to be, Dr. Manhattan's lover. And it ends with, like, all it ends with, right, is because he's going to go on and live a happy life. But the end of the book, the end of the fucking book, is the little girl looks up, you flip the page, and the boy has the circle with fucking Manhattan's thing. Yeah. Manhattan transfers all his power into this little boy and says, grow up like Superman. He literally took a page out of Superman's book.
Mm-hmm. And then but here's the one thing: the little girl says, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Hi, my name is Clark." Yeah. So now he just and now that world has a Superman. So it's like, holy fuck! So, and a part of me still kind of wants the rest of that series of like the Watchmen world with the Superman, but. I'm okay with this. I'm happy because I can be happy with whatever the future holds.
It's so cool because you remember the kid's name. I didn't remember the kid's name, so I'm like, that's the big thing. That's the big thing when you turn the page. See, you turn the page and you see it, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, this kid has John's mark.
He has the
and you're like,
he has the
what
mark.
The fuck? Holy shit! But I forgot the kid's name that he says. My name is Clark, and that's how it ends. That's how the book ends.
They have their own Superman.
So it's literally Superman's upbringing, because how did Superman get raised? He crashes on a comet and he gets adopted by Martha Kent and
Jonathan Kent.
And he becomes Superman. So he sees this boy as being exactly like Indy said. It
was a great run from like beginning to finish. There's like Serge mentioned earlier, there's some things that we kind of skipped over because like in the grand scheme of things they only really have weight in like one
in the last part books. In the last part, like you said, and why we had
to and if anything, even though we spoiled a lot, you have some things you might want to read. But,
it was so good. It leads into like the New 52, which then leads into Rebirth. It's just like I didn't think I was gonna like this. And if you were reading it as it was coming out, like that was
Dude,
part
it
of the
was
journey
a slow
because like
burn.
it was a year-long release.
Yeah.
So like
Ooh.
it wasn't like
Meanwhile, the DC
Ooh.
universe went through like 2 different resets.
yeah.
So you're reading
And-
really old stuff at this point.
Yeah,
You know
so
what
like,
I mean?
so as we're in the New 52, we're already starting Rebirth
yeah,
as Doomsday Clock's coming out.
yeah,
like,
like the
still
middle of
coming out.
Doomsday. Yeah,
Like, it's so weird, but it was so
was crazy.
satisfying for the end of this book, and that's why me and Indy wanted to touch on it. Now, Crystal, I want to get some of
Yeah.
your thoughts before we do
Yeah.
shut down real
I
quick.
really
like a
do.
closeout.
I was able to follow through most of the things because I watched the movie and the show, so I
Okay.
understand some of these characters. Some of them I don't know, because well, I'm not really. Anyways,
No.
I do want to read it. I'm excited. I don't know.
No, I definitely recommend it.
It's a lot.
Here's-
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
I did get
Yeah.
confused with some of the things that you guys were talking
Well,
about,
let's hear it.
and
Yeah.
Where were you confused at?
If there's
well,
anything
there
you
was
can
the two
remember.
parts. I
I'll stop you.
even told you that I was confused on.
Which part?
Ones where
Oh.
you said something and then you're like, oh wait, and it went back.
And backed up. Yeah, it
What's
was just
going on?
more like
It was-
he chronologically he was just off a little bit.
I was
but
Yeah.
off by a little bit.
they're
but
happening at the same time, sort of. That's
Yeah.
the thing, and that's what's crazy about Manhattan is that with Manhattan, he can be doing all these things at the same time too.
Yes.
He
you
can
see
be
that in
on
the movie.
Mars. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
remember?
When he's
Yeah,
on
he did.
Mars, like taking down the Justice League for the most part, he's also on Earth fixing some shit. But he's also in the past talking to some like
Yeah,
Manhattan
he's everywhere.
is way too OP for the universe, and I feel like that's the whole
Mhm.
reason for this book in a more penultimate kind of thing is that it's basically just removing him, and the only thing that could remove him was himself, because he says it at the end before he tells Clark to go with his family. He basically says, I'm going to use the rest of my power to just make sure that my universe and my Earth basically stays in peace, by giving everything to Clark and basically feeding, in a sense, like the nature of Earth into like a peaceful future
Okay.
with Clark and some of that energy, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So he
Okay.
basically removes himself from existence.
So I get a quick question.
Mhm.
Mime and that one chick. Sorry, I forgot her name already.
And Marionette and Mime.
Marionette, Mime. So they stayed on 52.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
left them there, even
Yes.
though
He left
they
them
were
there.
originally from.
Yes. Okay.
From
so,
yes.
So yeah, like
Okay,
there are a
so
few
he
things
left them
like
there.
yeah, because there's a few things I'm like, dude, go read this book. So I didn't want to like touch everything. Like if you want the Black Adam part, go read the book.
Yeah.
Because it's that good. But yes, at the end of the thing, he's like, he sends Ozymandias back. He sends Rorschach. Oh no, I think Rorschach stays.
Rorschach stays because he'll end up being like happier.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not
so
being
Rorschach,
Rorschach
stays.
stays, and then Marionette and Mime are like, "Are we going back to get our child?" And that's when Dr. Manhattan actually, when he tells him no, he says,
Yeah.
"I'm leaving you here. You're not going back." And this is
Yeah.
right after he's taken comedian. He pretty much killed him.
Yeah, pretty much like sent him to his death. Yeah,
He's like, and Ozymandias will go and stand trial for what he's done.
yeah.
So Ozymandias goes back, but he leaves Rorschach because he feels like there's nothing for you there.
Yeah, it really isn't.
And he tells Mime and Marionette, he's like, go change your ways, live happier,
Yeah,
live with your new child, and take care of him. So they stay there as well.
yeah. And it actually does change them. Like he kind of lightly touches it, and you see them for like a second. He goes, for all that they've done and all that they were terrible people. Once the love of a child came into their lives, they completely changed, and
Yeah, they're like not violent anymore. They just
Yeah, they're not- yeah.
normal.
Yeah, essentially.
Because I didn't like, and the reason I'm saying go buy the book, go read the book, go wherever you can read it, because I left out things that are just there to give hindsight. Like you get Marionette and Mime's past. And I didn't
there's a
touch on
lot
that at
they
all.
touched on. Yeah,
Because I'm like, it's not. There's no reason for it. Like there
Yeah.
is and there isn't. Like it's not.
it was a good seasoning to an already tasty steak,
Yeah.
but we were like, let's just give you the steak, and you can judge the seasoning later.
Yeah, and
Like
then,
that's kind of what we were trying to do today. Yeah.
So But is there anything else that was confusing you? Because you said there was a few things. And I'm trying to get you a little audio in this episode.
Oh, no. The whole, like, Rorschach and then the Jupiter said, like, didn't exist, but she was there, and then all of a sudden she just
Saturn
disappeared.
Girl.
Saturn Girl. There we go.
So
Saturn Girl. And then all of a sudden she just disappeared.
You go ahead and
I'll try to clear it up a little bit. So basically, Saturn Girl in Superman's history, when he was kind of still Superboy-ish, kind of becoming Superman. Yeah, he's a teenager. The Legion from the year 3021 or something comes to help Superman because they start to realize like he's kind of straying away. He's not really going to be Superman. There's a chance that might not happen, but he's the reason that in the future there's so many heroes and they keep peace, and he's the inspiration for the future. So they come and kind of guide him. They actually take him to the future. He sees some of his accomplishments. He becomes a better hero. He understands his powers better. It was a whole thing DC did a long time ago. Yeah. So because that's a part of his history and stuff like that, and Manhattan erased a lot of his history, Saturn Girl shouldn't exist. So she's one of the people Serge mentioned earlier that's kind of trying to fix this problem. Her and Stayu, who's like one of the JSA and all that stuff, is trying to fix this issue. And the reality of it is Superman doesn't know them anymore. He doesn't remember them, so they don't exist. And Asmodeus, like being a huge dick that he is, finally, it's kind of that idea of like, it was a little metaphysical because it's like, I think, therefore I am. It's like I exist because I know I exist. But if you realize that you don't exist, you cease to exist. So him telling her, hey, how do you think Superman's going to save you if he doesn't even know you exist? And then she goes, wait, what are you talking about? And he goes, I erased that. Or John erased that history. And then she goes, oh, no. And then she disappears. And all you see is the ring, the Legion ring, which is really famous. It's an L with a star. It's the sign, the insignia of the Legion. And that disappears. Or she disappears, and then it's just the ring. And it's like, oh, fuck. Things are going bad. Nobody's gonna do well here. So
and I tried to backpedal and fix that, and I fucked up.
Yeah, it took there's a lot going on. You covered a good portion of things. Yeah. But if that makes a little more sense,
Yeah.
A little?
Because so in order for Saturn Girl still existed, so it's like the one piece, because Superman was always the constant, she was always the constant. Because when he strayed from that path, the future heroes came, took Superman to the future to be like, hey, this is what
I got the story. Okay, so right then at that second when she disappeared, did John right then erase her from John's memory, or erased her right then?
No, he had because already Superman's past had changed. Yeah. She was still here from the future, and that's why she's in Arkham, because criminally insane.
She's like an anomaly, basically.
So she's an anomaly. She's there, but she's not there. She's not supposed to be there at this point because John fixed all these things, so she's not supposed to be there. But think of her like falling through the crack. That's what happened. And when Ozymandias pulls that bullshit, she realizes, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to be here, and that's what happened.
And then she
fades
Thank
away.
you. So, that was a little bit better explanation than all of a sudden, oh, I don't exist. Poof. I'm gone.
So like,
So confused.
Like, because she was in the past when he's a teenager, which John, Dr. Manhattan, never tried to stop when he was a teenager. He tried to stop him when he was a kid.
Yeah.
So no matter what, right?
Yeah.
He would run into the Legion because they would see him veering off course. So they would come to make sure Superman stayed on course, no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So, but
then he went further and tried to alter that, and then got her out of there. Yeah,
and that's what happened. She fell through the crack. But then Ozymandias, being the asshole he is able to convince her, like, by the way, you don't exist. And she's like, oh no, I don't. And then and the reason it's not as confusing. The reason I passed over it so fast is because as it's in the same page as John and Superman meeting.
Yeah, so it's a small part. Yeah.
So like.
It's like book 11.
I do apologize,
like
but it's in that same part. So I'm so caught up in John and Superman meeting, you're ready for the end, that I just missed that. So I do apologize, Indy. Thanks for the save there, bud.
No, it's okay.
I definitely recommend this book. Like I said, I've read it, and it's been out for a while, so you can pick it in trade paperback.
I think it's already out, yeah.
So you can pick it up. There are some continuations with it, so like we do get to see what continues with Rorschach too.
Yeah, there's a Rorschach
series, which is currently ongoing right now.
Yes, it is.
Is it a limited series? I'm not sure if it's a limited series or not.
If it is, it's been going for a minute.
Yeah, so you can check that out because it's out right now. But there's a lot of things that came from this, and if you want to dive further into it, I really do suggest you spend the money. You can go get a copy for about $25. Go pick it up. It's definitely worth the read. If you have it on the apps, make sure you go into your DC Universe app and read this book because it's definitely probably one of the better reads that they've done in a long time. And
especially from DC.
And if you're not waiting for it, like me and Indy has you,
like it'll be a lot quicker.
So like you're definitely gonna enjoy it. I think Crystal, I think you'll like it. I know you're not a Superman fan, but you're gonna enjoy this read because like if you enjoyed The Watchmen, a lot of people came back to this because it was like, fuck, you're doing something with this. It's a continuation.
Yeah.
It was something we thought we'd never see a continuation.
Yeah, because it got teased so long ago.
And and you mentioned something that I want to touch on really quick. You mentioned like, I've seen the movie, I've seen the TV show. This has nothing to do with the TV show. The TV show was HBO's. Yeah. The TV was like an HBO Max original thing that they thought, hey, we could cash in on The Watchmen. In all honesty, that show flopped, failed. Read this book. It's a lot better. You're gonna get a continuation.
I think it's a better continuation.
I'm just saying the show kind of helped me know who these characters are.
Okay.
So did the movie and everything, it also helped me with like, because if I'm correct, it was the show that said the bombs, wasn't it?
No. See, that's where it's lost. See, the show doesn't tell you the bombs because the show runs off the theory of the comic. The show is a continuation from the comic book. And that's why they have those squid storms.
So the show had those squid storms. That's right.
And they were the cause and effect of the squids showing up.
Yeah.
So that's where that came into play.
Yeah.
But everything else is, like
it just helped me.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
But so that's gonna do it for us, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed this talk on Doomsday Clock. We kind of wanted to just touch on something that was a little bit older and a little bit of a change of pace for us. So and let's not let's cut the shit. We kind of are backed up on a little bit of a couple books here. So we didn't read a lot of shit. So we had to come up with something on the fly. And
we know you did.
So we came up with something on the fly. We hope you enjoyed it. If you liked what we did in this one, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys thought. If you didn't, let us know. Like, maybe we won't do any more of these. But I would definitely still love to do talk back at some of the bigger events. Crystal, we did mention Infinite Crisis.
Final
Crisis.
Crisis. Yeah, all the.
We can look at a lot of other stuff like Flashpoint, Year of the Villains, Heroes, Forever Evil. We can look back at like a lot of these old DC events or Marvel events like the Infinity War and tell you, a lot of the things that you may think in the Infinity War that you don't know if you didn't read these comics.
Exactly.
They're completely different. Like how big Adam Warlock is actually a part of that. So
how Nova is probably one of the strongest fucking Marvel characters ever, but no,
you won't know that because
Miss Marvel the power. Yeah, sure.
So if you guys want more of this, like in our what should we call this segment? Like kind of like recaps or look back.
Comic flashback.
There you go. So if you guys want something more like this, let us know down in the comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe. So we hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode. As always, I'm your host, Sergio Sanchez, the long-winded Sergio Sanchez, because goddamn, I talked a lot tonight. With me, as always, is my best friend, my co-host, my cousin, my brother from another mother, Indy Ana Leon. And there's Crystal. As always, joining us.
There's Crystal.
Who was quiet tonight, but this is because we're working on it. We're trying to get her.
A lot of good facial reactions though. It was cool.
We're trying.
I was
to get her
really
into comic
interested.
books.
Sorry, like
So-
I didn't do it because I was I was
No.
in
Yeah,
the
that's good.
story.
She's like, I'm listening to this guy. Oh crap.
I am. I was interested because I really like the Night Watch.
Watchmen. Got it.
Yes.
Edit. So, anyway,
Yes,
thank you
edit
guys
that.
for Thank you guys for joining us. We hope you enjoy the episode, and as always, please
Keep on reading.